Between 1955 and 1963, a British-born World War II veteran shot 23 reels of standard 8 film in the jungles of Sarawak on the island of Borneo. This exquisite, low-resolution video you are now watching is from a DVD conversion of this decades-old footage made in 2004. Originally shot on a camera much like this, amateur filmmaker Ian Urquhart took his camera on numerous trips across Sarawak, in particular to remote villages and indigenous encampments.
I was born in Sarawak in Borneo, in a little place called Sibu, and my father was working for the British government and the Sarawak government in the colonial service. My father had a childhood growing up in a variety of places, such as France, and so I'm not surprised that he ended up in Sarawak. He went to Cambridge just before the Second World War started to do languages. Didn't complete his degree because he was called up, and he spent most of the war in India and Burma. I think it affected him greatly, as it did obviously many people, and he didn't feel he could go back and complete his degree. He enrolled in the colonial service and was sent out to Sarawak and was there 18 years. I don't know when Dad started filming, but quite early on. Dad didn't talk about why he filmed or how he got into it, but I think he must have had a bit of a creative streak, though we weren't aware of it.
It was during Melbourne's long COVID lockdown that I began looking for projects to work on indoors. Rifling through my archives, I came across Ian's DVD and decided that now was as good a time as any to track him down. It didn't take me long before I found Ian's memoirs online and sadly discovered that he had passed away months after completing them in 2012. Fortunately, the memoirs came with an email address for Neil Urquhart, one of Ian's 2 sons. I wrote him an email and waited. A few days later, to my surprise, Ian's daughter Alexa phoned me.
We were so delighted when you got in touch with us, Andrew. It was one of those very lucky moments for us, and the timing was perfect. We were at a crossroads with what to do with Dad's films, his memoir, his photos. At the time that you got in touch of us, there was a huge worldwide movement acknowledging the harm that British colonialism had done, and other countries, France and Germany also had colonies. And this had resulted in a big backlash. And we realized that as compassionate as Dad was, and as good a man as he was, and even though he loved the peoples of Sarawak, we were really worried about how to share his films and his photos and his story in a way that wouldn't be misinterpreted and in a way that wouldn't do harm to Dad's memory. And we weren't sure how to get it out there. And when you got in touch with us, you were very sensitive to our concerns and have guided us through that and helped us with that. And so it was such good timing, and it has been a wonderful thing for us. And more importantly, I absolutely know it is something Dad would be so glad to have seen happen.
The next stage was to find out whether his original footage could be found and in what state it was in. Well, lo and behold, all of Ian's original reels were indeed found, and they were in pretty good nick. With our combined efforts, we had every single reel cleaned and digitally scanned by the London-based Restore Studios. What is also remarkable about Ian's footage is that he had annotated each reel. He left us with detailed notes describing locations, names of some of the people he travelled with, and often described specific shots. Some of these include dramatic river crossings, navigating whirlpools, a raft as long as a football field, seemingly floating riverside villages, numerous Indigenous Sarawakians in their jungle villages and encampments, and so much more. As a historical record, this is a precious resource for Sarawak and its people.
When Dad went back and visited Borneo and Sarawak specifically in the 1990s, he was greatly distressed at the state of the jungle clearing for logging and for the destruction of the countryside, the loss of culture for the people living in the longhouses, people who he felt an immense connection with and whom he loved. He was really upset about that and would absolutely want to support any land right claims for people who were trying to retain, the country of their ancestry. So I understand that maybe some of his notations and his films, may be of use to those people and their lawyers. And, Murd O'Neill and I wish them well in that, and I know Dad would too. And if his films and photos and notes can be of use, that would be a wonderful thing.
All 23 reels of Ian's Sarawak footage is available for educational, non-commercial use on archive.org. Go to archive.org and search Ian Urquhart for the entire collection.